The Rock Island Plow building was built in 1909 by the Rock Island Plow Company. There were at least 4 other facilities regionally in the United States. When we approached this building, there were a number of challenges. The first major challenge was there were no floors, there wasn't a whole lot of roof, there were no windows, there was no insulation, there were no stairs, there were no elevators, and it had a number of structural challenges.
The great gift of this building is it came with its 4 walls and its heavy structure. The big 18-inch deep, 18-foot long double beams, the huge post that those sit on, that's kind of all we had to start with. It was a big shell in pristine condition. And then from there, we basically got to build a brand new building inside it. So for a novice like myself, certainly I had great people holding my hand, leading me through the process of reinventing an old building. Certainly my architects have worked on buildings that are 300 plus years old in the UK and elsewhere around Europe. But here, we really got to be the best of both worlds. I got to build basically a brand new building inside this old building. And so it's all new plumbing. We're not having to preserve those mechanical systems that you might inherit in an older building. And the other great gift is all of the flooring in the building is new. And we didn't have to go through a real tedious, complex, take a piece out, 1 or 2 rotten components and try and match them back. It's been, it's made me think I know something about historic preservation, but really I'm probably still just a beginner.
Well, there's a number of ways you could approach a building like this. One thing that I thought was amazing was this idea of, at its time, this was not an extraordinary building, it's very ordinary. With the passage of time, it has become extraordinary. And there are a number of things on this building, for example, the star turnbuckles on the outside, that we found fascinating as architects. And many of these motifs kind of get reimagined in different ways as you wander around this building. On the wood, we know the wood's at least 250 years old. It could be older than that. I really enjoyed the idea of expressing the grain, the grain of time in that wood. And you see that as you walk around the building in the floors, the way we've taken that wood and recut it to line walls with it as well. Also, the columns are all left as they were. Any column that we could save, we have. Many of them have graffiti of time, stories of people that lived and worked around the building, cut and marked on these columns, which we thought was a really important piece of the history of this building. Well, this was one of the floors that we believe was used for a lot of the very heavy machine operation and production. It had been very heavily damaged, not only through the course of time, but also because this was a building that was used for target practice by the Oklahoma City Fire Department through the 80s, and so there was a lot of structural damage that was created from that. There were a number of things about this building that are very unique. One is that it has no windows on one entire wall, so everything on the west is blank, which has led to an architectural response, which is moving all the core over to deal with that. The other is really the fact that despite this was the top floor, it's actually a little bit lower up here than on many of the floors. So we were thinking about light, and so we've effectively put in all new floors in the building. And when we did that, we raised the new floor level about 1'6" over the previous floor level, which meant we actually moved the windows down the building in a way because we raised the floors. The other thing to say is we've carved this new north-facing light into the space, which does really amazing things in the Oklahoma light. It's very different than light that comes in horizontally.
We have had a whole lot of guys come by and look at it. We've had people look at taking the whole building, and we've got one tenant that we are finalizing the last terms, and we've mobilized a build out of their space, and then we have a whole laundry list of folks who've been through it once before it was clean and ready to look at, and we're now ready to start bringing them all back and saying, ta-da, it's finished. We're ready to see if we can't start working out everybody's specific needs. We've got about a good dozen that are ready to go, and I can't wait to see we've got some new propositions on restaurant parking, and I think that's going to yield us potentially some real exciting opportunities as well.